Hi, everybody. Yeah. So I'm as Tim said, I'm Alex Naruzzi. I'm an advisor at the MEF. Once again, apologies that I'm a Plan B, as James Williams is unable to make it today. So, but I'm of course delighted to be chairing this session on flash calling, and sponsored by Vox Carrier, and we have a fantastic panel. Unfortunately, joining me today, we have the co-founder, the founder and CEO of Vox, Hassan Ahmadi, is also a casualty of the travel crisis. But we have a very good substitute here, in Julian Botasani. Do you want to present yourself, please?
Thank you. My name is Julian Botirleanu. I'm the VP of Global Strategic Partnership in Vox, and very happy to be here after 2 years of pandemic.
Okay, thank you very much, Julian. It's great that you could make it in person. And also Scarlett Woodford.
Hello everybody, my name is Scarlett Woodford. I'm a senior analyst at Juniper Research, and I've authored reports on SMS firewalls, A2P and mobile messaging. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Okay. What I find quite interesting is, having listened to both the Mavenir and the Mobile Squared presentations this morning, there's a lot of talk around how voice is ultimately migrating towards messaging, which I totally understand. What's interesting about this particular use case is that actually potentially is going the other way around. Yeah. So we're going to talk about how some of the SMS A2P traffic is potentially moving over to voice with flash calling. So I think that's something that's of particular interest for, and something slightly different for most people. This is based upon a webinar that we did on the 28th of October, a 60-minute webinar with the same sort of configuration, slightly different people. So we're going to try and condense this down to 30 minutes. So over to Julian, who's going to present a little bit around flash calling.
Thank you, Alex. How do I operate this in terms of next? Okay. So, first of all, definitely would like to know what's flash calling about. I think it's very important to understand this new authentication channel and how it works actually, before we describe the challenges and the solution. So everything starts, of course, like on the other channel of authentication with the subscriber request. They're asking for let's say a login to an application. Next, the application server will send a code, of authentication code, to an identity verification provider, or omni-channel if you like, with an API. Up to here, everything is the same in terms of, or similar with the SMS authentication. Starting from here, the flash call, of course, uses a voice call. It's actually a missed call, where you will see that the code, it's kind of embedded where the entire A number becomes a code. And the omni-channel provider will make a call to the subscriber. We call it flash because it's quick. It's no answer is needed. And the application has built-in features, so we'll read the caller log. It will subtract the password and will complete the authorization. Everything very quick, very smooth. And actually, you will see it has a lot of features like, let's say, very good customer experience. The only problem that, of course, it's here, if we look from the mobile operator side, is the fact that they're not getting paid today for this authentication. So I think in the last webinars we did, and also if you look to the Juniper Research article and white paper in regards to the flash call, this has the potential to disrupt the authentication channel, specifically the SMS A2P, because of course, its attributes, which I will show you later on. But just to be quick about, it's about the fact that it's very quick, it's more secure, and of course it has let's say, a far better user experience. So what we see today in the market, it's like if you want to say the ecosystem, if you have a lot of aggregation, integrator, omni-channel promoting flash call to the OTT application. And we see already some adoption in this market. We see some early adopters. Throughout this, of course, I will mention Viber, Telegram, which started quite early in having this. But we see lately a lot of, if you'd like, newcomers to the ecosystem like IMO. And of course, I will say the most significant one, it's WhatsApp, which is beta testing. And here, once WhatsApp will adopt it, of course, we'll be looking about the entire Facebook ecosystem, all the application will adopt it. This becoming actually a trend. So in terms of the adoption rate overview, things are starting actually to move very quick. There's a lot of new application introducing this new authentication channel. And for all, it's like, in the end, least cost routing in using what authentication channels should they use? Should they use SMS A2P, which we all know in the last years they've increased the global rates few times, or they should use flash call, which has at heart, at MTR level, it's actually 0 today. So that's regarding the adoption rate. In terms of what I've mentioned earlier regarding the news that WhatsApp it's testing, it's actually testing for a couple of months. IMO has introduced, of course, this one. Let's compare very quickly the side by side from the user experience, these two authentication channels. So in terms of service speed, user interaction, safety, or how, say, cool factor, on all levels, flash call, it's not, if not the same, in all cases, it's actually better than A2P SMS. So what you have today, of course, in terms of adoption rate, you have a new authentication channel, which is looking to have the same experience, increase safety, and better cost. This is why you see this adoption rate, and we believe that more and more application will start adopting and using the flash call. According to Juniper Research, of course, the number of flash calls are increasing for the next year, but we will see 25-time increase. And I just explain why you will see this increase, because today it looks much better in terms of authentication than A2P SMS. In terms of impact today in the market, it's a disruptor. We see around 10 to 20%, sometimes more, depending on the market, replacement of A2P SMS to flash call. Of course, this is highly due to the cost, first of all, and then, of course, customer experience comes second. But as well, today, flash call also expands the A2P market. Because it has the grounds, it has the terms of, let's say, increased security factor that fintechs and banks are looking for. So, plus there's a lot of requests and initiatives, including in the European Union, regarding multi-factor authentication. So there's good grounds that, you know, in a mid to long term, you can have flash call even on a premium, meaning more expensive than the A2P SMS. So it's a possible opportunity, but it's also a threat for the operators not monetizing today the flash call. In terms of channel availability, as mentioned, there's a lot of omni-channels out there proposing OTTs, this new authentication method, but I will talk a little bit regarding the constraints. The constraints today for an operator is that all this flash call, it's not paid, it's coming blended on the P2P link. You cannot content filter the flash call, so it's very hard to stop the abuse. As well, in many cases, the flash call is not repeating itself, so just putting a filter just to block the abuse, it's not possible. And of course, this definitely needs and calls for machine learning in tackling this issue. So if we're turning into providers of machine learning, they don't have sufficient data to be fed to the AI. Fortunately enough, Vox meets all of this. This is a quick analysis of the options today for an MNO. Of course, not doing anything, it's not an option. We're trying to build something in-house, maybe, but that's not going to happen today. Monetizing, it's the only solution today viable. This is how it looks, a monetized channel of flash call. So, of course, the flash call is it's requested by the user, by the application. So when the identity verification provider will deliver this, will try to deliver this on a P2P link, abusing basically the MNO, Vox solution will stop and will prevent this flash call reaching the subscriber, and will force the authentication to come either on an official flash call channel where it's possible to be built and accepted, or it will force a fallback on an official A2P SMS channel. So in regards to the solution that Vox proposes today, let's say its main element, it's a proprietary analytic engine and AI algorithm, which together with voice firewall, also proprietary, because this is also very important, they are able to mitigate the abuse coming on the P2P now interconnection links. And what's important about the voice solution, it has a lot of data that we fed to the AI, more than 100 billion data global entry points, because we collected data for many years. And we have not only we have the technology, the firewall, but we have a trained AI and machine learning capable of doing a detection rate over 95%. And within that 95%, it's 99.999% accurate detection of the flash call. So Vox solution gives the operator back the full control, and will give the possibility of the mobile operator to monetize this new authentication channel. And of course, is to end the presentation regarding the Vox solution. Our solution is a multi-award solution. We have a significant partnership base, customer base, and we're looking forward to discuss with operators about how we can help them in monetizing this flash call, which in the same time will also protect the A2P SMS by monetizing the flash call. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Very interesting, very interesting presentation and slides. And I think certainly as we can see, an improved customer experience there and potential opportunities and threats for mobile operators here. So thank you very much to Vox for that insightful presentation and of the solution. And maybe over to Juniper. Obviously, you might have seen their name appear in a couple of slides. Obviously, there's some market research in this area. It's always good to get an independent voice on this. So maybe over to Scarlett. We've decided to do kind of a question and answer kind of response to see to some of these claims. So I guess maybe the first question is really, what are the key benefits would you say are there for using flash calling over SMS ATP?
So fundamentally, flash calling offers a level of simplicity that operator-led business messaging simply can't compete with and can't match. Whilst traditional authentication services such as A2P SMS require a user to enter a password or a passcode, flash calling is a much more passive user process. And that is, flash calls are connected to and automatically disconnected from the subscriber's phone with no further user input required. Using the A number, the flash calling service uses the A number as an authentication code, accessing it via the missed call registry. In some circumstances, like with Apple devices, the user may have to input information from the phone number into a third-party platform. But with Apple devices, this is because Apple doesn't allow third-party applications access to the missed call registry. And also, in addition, the second benefit is that brands and enterprises are constantly looking for cheaper ways to authenticate their users, as while the individual cost of sending individual A2P SMS messages is small and minimal, the aggregated cost is substantial. And flash calling services offer a solution to this, as non-terminated voice calls are currently unmonetized or monetized at a low rate by operators. And therefore, we believe flash calling services offer a cheaper alternative to traditional operator-led business messages. And we believe that the simplicity of flash calling, the fact it's got lower levels of user input, will lead to a decrease in the number of operator business messages sent, as enterprises look for these cost-effective ways of authenticating their users. And this, of course, will directly impact the operator's revenue, as the volume of messages for which the operators are able to charge for will decrease.
Okay. Well, what kind of proportion of SMS traffic are we talking about that are actually used for these kind of authentication use cases?
So we forecast that around 80% of A2P SMS messages are used for authentication purposes, and this will stay stable until about 2025, 2026. And whilst a number of multi-channel and identity service providers are promoting this authentication method, more and more OTT players intend to adopt OTT-based flash calling services, and will but this will mainly be suffering from a degree of market fragmentation, and the large brands and enterprises will continue to favour operator-led services, those that operate on an international basis. Just in order to standardise user authentication across geographies. And whilst the flash calling authentication method is increasing and expanding amongst small and medium enterprises, the aggregated demand from this level of enterprises is really a valuable opportunity, and it's an opportunity for messaging app providers.
Okay. So obviously you're saying the OTTs are moving into the space. What do the operators need to do to prepare for flash calling?
So fundamentally, operators need to, effectively monetize flash calling services. It's a huge opportunity. Removing the unique selling point of a no-cost or a low-cost service for enterprises. That's what's the unique selling point of flash calling services at the moment. And we believe that the future enterprise adoption of flash calling will very much depend on the effective promotion of the other benefits that flash calling services offers above and beyond, this low-cost, no-cost service, such as reducing user input and offering a more passive user authentication process. And, why is this important? Why is the reduction of user input so important? Well, fundamentally, it will diminish the probability of user error, which will increase customer satisfaction and reduce feelings of frustration and, improve perceptions of the brands and enterprises that use the flash calling services.
Okay. And finally, what are the potential revenue losses if operators then actually move down this kind of support flash calling in the future and continue just to rely on SMS A2P?
So we forecast that authentication-based SMS revenue will reach $39 billion globally in 2022, which represents 5% of total operator billed revenue. As enterprises begin to migrate their authentication traffic to voice, operators need to protect SMS revenue, clearly, by adopting voice firewalls and, being able to detect unmonetized flash calling and attain flash calling revenue. We really strongly believe that flash calling services have the potential to disrupt SMS technology to an unprecedented degree, really. And operators need to support services from both SMS and flash calling, as a failure to do so will lead to reduced revenue from authentication use cases. In terms of current market adoption, we're seeing OTT applications such as IMO have already announced their intention to launch flash calling services in order to verify their users. We believe that flash calling will provide OTT applications with a significant platform to migrate SMS business messaging traffic to the services over operator-based services.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Scarlett. So that's very interesting. So I think certainly what we've heard today is an understanding of flash calling, how it works, what the potential is, opportunities from an operator point of view, what the potential threats are for those who don't act in this space. Are there any kind of questions from the audience on that? So I think that was very clear. And any questions from the audience? I don't.
I think we've got a question.
I think that maybe Tim can see online if there's some questions. Oh, we've got one over here. Yes, please. Yeah, Susan's just coming over with a microphone, because otherwise we'll struggle to hear you. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is I'm Ricardo Martins from my basis. My question is about security. So in the session before, we were talking about trust and security and the need of encryptation of the SMS. If now the authentication is based on flash calls, how is the security topic addressed? Because we know that on voice over IP calls, the A number is easily checked, and if that A number has a code, how this is being addressed in order to make this really an alternative to messaging.
Okay, so I think the question is quite clear about the security elements of using the flash and the trust elements behind that. I don't know, maybe, yeah? Okay.
Thank you, Ricardo, for the question. Very good question. First of all, the flash call today doesn't have content like SMS, so we don't have a payload. That, I will just say that A2P SMS is still king out there in terms of today carrying most of the authentication channel, but we all know that we had complaints for the bank fintech. Sometimes this is compromised because it travels to the aggregation channel, and if there's some rogue party or even unauthorized access, somebody can actually use the credential, learn who is addressed, what kind of service, it is Facebook, it is Google, all from just looking at the content. With flash call, we have A and B number. B number, it's always the party asking the authentication. A number, you don't know which part is the code. Even if somebody intercepts the CDRs, they will not know. Okay, first they need to know that that's a flash call, that's an A2P voice actually, which is hard even for MNO today. And then they don't know which is the code, and they don't know the service. Particularly these elements makes it very attractive for fintechs and banks. And if you compare the two authorization methods or channels today, flash calls win with these attributes.
Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, there is a question online from Philip Dufour who wants just to, I think it'd be a good idea for the audience as well, just to clarify what the iOS user experience is like, given that I think one of you alluded to Android can interrogate the missed call registry and iOS can't. So what's the experience like on iOS devices?
I can take this.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So in terms of iOS today, as we know, it's not possible to read the call logs. On Android, it asks permission, so once given and actually the application from starts ask this type of permission, then the flash call it's possible. So considering the market share of iOS today, which is, or if you like the market share of Android, which is close to or over 90%, all the authentication traffic today comes basically on Android. What about iOS? This is a very good question. On iOS, flash call works a little bit different, meaning the call will come, the application cannot read it, but the let's say the application will guide the user to look at the call's last digits, 468, take the number real time while the call it's active, and you insert it in the application for verification. So it still works as well for iOS, just with a little different point in terms of first case, they don't have to do anything. The second case, they need to insert the code themselves.
Okay, and I've just got one quick question I want to ask Julian. I don't expect you to answer this, but I'll ask anyway. Clearly, you know, as you and Scarlett have both suggested, there's a huge potential here in terms of volume and the addressability and the reliability, but the unit cost is going to be much less. So can you give me some indication of how much it would cost a brand to send, you know, so many voice flash calls versus doing it by A2P SMS?
That's a very good question. So we have an indication, of course, in terms of cost. Cost being the main drive for OTTs adopting this on top of the security overall user experience. So cost is actually what, because flash call it's here, it's not born yesterday, it's been around for many years. Today, cost plays an important role simply because the A2P SMS internationally, at least, have been increasing a lot in the last year. So you're looking probably to a 3 or 4 time fold comparing to 3 years ago. So that means these brands have an increased cost, so they were always looking for an alternative. Now, looking at how the cost is formed today for an SMS in comparison for a flash call, well, for an SMS is the MTR, official rate that the mobile operator is looking to sell. Average rate probably it's, you know, today 5 to 6 cents per SMS, but there are markets with 12 or 14, as we know. Plus some aggregation margin if there's an omni-channel provider which builds an API or so on. So you have MTR plus aggregation margin. While on flash call is 0, which is the MTR for a missed call, plus some aggregation margin. So they are, I will not name the integrators promoting flash call, but we see promotions around 70–80% discount comparing to A2P SMS. So that's sufficient to attract any application interest.
Okay, well, right there is an indication as to why this market is not going anywhere. It's clearly going to be interesting to want to watch over the next few years. So with that, I'll say thank you to Alex, Julian and Scarlett. Thank you very much. Show your appreciation. Thank you.